Today we're driving the Skoda Octavia, and is it actually better than the Volkswagen Golf, or especially the Golf variant, and how much space is there still to the Volkswagen Passat and the Skoda Superb, the segment above that, because this one here is supposed to be even more elaborate now. On the exterior you can see, let's say the design is more streamlined here, the grille leads over to the headlamps, LED is standard, these here are the optional Skoda crystal lighting lamps. These are the matrix LED lamps, so 40% more light power, especially in the high beam. This is also the Octavia Sportline. That means we have a sportier lower bumper. So if you want a sportier design and also a sportier suspension, because the Sportline as standard comes with a sport suspension that is 50 millimeters lower and a little bit stiffer. Unless you go for the optional DCC, dynamic chassis control, that's the adaptive suspension, is always an option. We also have it equipped here today and see how it performs in driving later on. Sportline badge at the side, and you get a lot of lovely colors. You see that orange there, you see the race blue. That one would be the one I would actually go for. And this color here is Mamba green, so they want to be even more colorful at Skoda. Wheels start 16 inch, then they go 17 or 18 inch. These here are the 18 inch wheels. You could even go for 19 inch in the Sportline or in the RS later on. Yeah, but this is maybe a good compromise, we'll find out. It's available here as Combi or as the more classic form, then it's the question how you call it, sedan, saloon, liftback, fastback, hatch. The thing is always about the definition, and for example in the UK configurator they call it hatch, but then it has this kind of sedan form. In Germany we call limousine, like sedan or saloon, but then again say, hey, it's not a separate trunk. It's like this liftback or fastback opening. So yeah, I mean, people use all kinds of definitions for it. Maybe pick the one you like. And this one here, the Combi, the Estate, is actually a little bit clearer what form it actually is. It's also the more popular model, especially for example also where I come from in Germany, which is a typical Combi land, definitely. Very slim and clean light signature for the rear, by the way. And when you activate the turning indicators or the hazard lights, there we go. In the matrix LED, you also have a cascading effect. In the front, when you activate the turning indicators, let's take a look here. Oh, that looks nice, right? So it replaces the daytime running light. Fancy stuff. Skoda lettering here, really large across the vehicle. And in the Sportline we have it also here all in black, for example here the Octavia. And the question was of course initially, does the Autogefühl fake exhaust police? You can soon also buy the t-shirt if you like, we're preparing the shop still at the moment. Does it have a job for you here today? Well, underneath, very clean design, no fake exhaust tips at all, so that's actually quite good. The overall length, by the way, is at 4.70 meters or 185 inches. The size here is always somewhat in between. The Octavia has always been famous for that you already get a lot of space on the interior without being too big on the exterior, and of course we'll find out today if that is still true in this generation here. Let's check out the interior, because there's more interesting things to come. First of all, look at that. Wow, the Sportline has these very special sport seats. These are beautiful. I mean, you get base fabric seats, for example, also a fabric leatherette mix. Here the Sportline has this gray fabric and also this nice quilting here. Look at that here on the seat area. You can really feel that quilting here, really beautiful. You have more shoulder support as well, integrated head restraint. That is really cool, isn't it? And I have to say, sometimes seats look sporty, but then they are maybe not that comfortable, but they are super comfortable indeed. Wow, I mean, this really tells like grown-up vehicle, almost like in a luxury sedan. So this really brings a lot of premium atmosphere to a segment which is still somewhat affordable. So I really like the seat approach here. It's sporty and comfortable at the same time. Good support here at the shoulder area with 189, 6'2". Still have enough headroom left. There's also a panoramic roof available if you like. This one here not equipped with that one at the moment. And as deco element, we have here this, let's say it's like a carbon fiber look. I would say it's not real carbon fiber, but you maybe also hear it. But it's actually quite cool. Here also then with the leatherette accentuations, contour stitches. The dashboard is also soft and has a nice structure, so I really like the build quality. It's very clean here also from the whole cockpit layout. The steering wheel goes in and out, up and down in a manual way. Key fob in high gloss black. Yeah, not my favorite honestly. Here the door. Nice doors closing sound into the rear. Also nice, so like that. And for the build quality on the inside, this is here a structured material, also soft touch. Then on the inside here, also feels really nice. And then here we have also a felt covering on the inside. Yeah, we hardly see it with premium vehicles nowadays, so that is also well done. Then we have, a very nice entry badge here as well. This is, you can really touch it, actually it's three-dimensional. Then we also have this carbon fiber-like deco element here on the left side already. Complete new steering wheel. This is, however, the Sportline steering wheel. It means perforation at the side. Not animal-free available yet, though. What I like, however, is that I still have real commands here on the steering wheel for the digital instruments, for example. Middle console, let's start here in the front. Inductive charging pad, also fits for bigger phones. It's also cool, that works very well, next to two USB-C chargers. Then there's this DSG shifting lever, very well integrated. This here, by the way, is theoretically also for a phone, like here, and also for coins, but you can also take it out. The thing is, if you have that one in, you cannot close this, take it out, then you can actually close this shade in here for the cup holders. They are also adaptive. And then this armrest is well attached, you could slide it forward. More space underneath, for example, for cables or whatever. So this also, everything solid. The only thing maybe, if Leah can show that to us here, like the inside door handles. This is hard pack material. This may be the thing that I don't like that much, but the rest is actually very well built. You also still have some real physical hotkeys here in the middle console. You can also click them here, for example. Oh, this is like the, max blowout here. So for the climate unit, for example, here for the driving modes. And then they also switch in the infotainment system, which is kind of responsive now. You would start base Octavia with 10-inch, and an option you get this here, that 13-inch screen. It would be standard for the RS model, for example. And you have a volume slider in the lower part, no climate slider. The climate unit is always controlled inside the screen. Also direct hotkey, for example, for seat heating. And then you have a pretty simple menu. You can also use the car internal map, and here on the top you can also easily deactivate, for example, certain assistance systems, but it also works while driving here on the steering wheel. I'll also soon show that to you. And if you have DCC, the adaptive suspension, you can also click it right here or click it below. Normal, eco, sport mode. In the sport mode you get more feedback and so on, or you can also individualize your settings then for this driving mode and maybe keep this mode. So the infotainment system now also with the upgrade is even quicker than before, so overall actually also quite satisfying. Digital instruments, 10-inch, just here on the very far side. This is not a screen, and also on the left side for the temperature, and you can also change the contents, for example, more to a map content. Also what you want to see here, so it's kind of flexible. And you can also get a head-up display. Rear doors, here in the rear is hardback, but at least it is somewhat structured. And in the lower part you have some fabric on the inside. That's actually nice. And especially for the kids, it's good that you have a manual shade right here, and it also goes really far there. Look at that, it's cool. Then, how much space do we have when I'm still driving as a tall person? And this is also like the very voluminous sport seat. Still works here, so 4 adults, 4 tall adults is no problem. Here once again you can see how the shade works. There we go. And it's very comfortable in the rear also with a nice fabric. And it also has this Sportline style here with the quilting both on the lower and also here on the top area. So that is also very well done. And you might have noticed these very special head restraints like this. You can fold this one forward. It looks like a bull or something, and this is a very cool feature indeed, because when you fall asleep, you know this effect that it does create a lot of neck ache and stuff. And then you can do it like this when you fall asleep. Then you're caught like on the right or here on the left, and that's a really cool thing, that you don't fall asleep and get up and then everything is hurting. So a very cool and clever idea for sure. Other ideas are, for example, here, this is like a blanket holder. So there's like a blanket on the inside. This can be attached to one of the head restraints. Might make most sense here, for example, in the middle one. Then in the middle part, let's put down this. Here, the cup holders, they are not adaptive though. No, there's nothing on the front. That's basically it. Here you can also pull down the ski hatch and reach through the trunk, for example. In the middle part, you're also somewhat flexible because here you have USB-C chargers. Then you have this open area, or you fold these here out. There we go, and then you have cup holders. Yeah, just like we've seen in the Superb. So indeed, this is like a smaller Superb now, climate unit. And what you can also do is just pull this whole thing out if you don't want it actually. Yeah, then you have more space here. And maybe then here for the fifth person also works, maybe on shorter trips. So there's definitely more than enough space here. This is, by the way, like these features, you don't have to get them, but here you can put this one up and then, for example, here, put a smartphone here or like an iPad or like a tablet. Doesn't need to be from Apple, of course. And then you can also pull it sidewards here for the, movie watching and so on. And I think it's better than some fixed multimedia systems and so on. And when you're not using it, it's of course always better for crash safety here just to pull it out. And that's also very easily done here with these here. Yeah, you have this hole right here. So I think overall the solutions they have been thinking about here is, it really goes into the everyday driving life. And headroom, 6'2", 189 is also fine. So very well usable rear here. And Leah is showing us even more features because there's more to discover. For example, here this split here of the back pocket. So there's a big one and then there's a small one, for example, once again for a smartphone also. And in the front there's the famous Skoda trash bin, the small one you can put here in the side door pockets. And in the top here for sunglasses there's also special storage like this. Oh yeah, cool. What about the trunk or the boot? Electric hatch here. 640 up to 1,700 liters. The liftback, what I call it, has 40 liters less actually in the base setup here. This is like a two-step here for this cover, but it's actually very clean. Just here, this very edge, this is kind of sharp, so be aware not to like put things in and out and then like come like this here. That could be maybe a little bit unpleasant. Then here's a mirror of 40 inches in width. The length here is actually a little bit more. It's like 1 meters 5 or 41 inches. That's actually really good. Then you can move that whole thing here, for example, here left and right, for example, a little bit forward, like here, and then have a split here. And these here, you can also individually set to how you want to split your luggage right here. So always nice solutions here. They even are sticking here to the ground. You can fold this one up. That I also want to show you here, like a backpack can even fit here in this side hole. So large is it. So very spacious indeed. Underneath, there's this cover mat you can also use above that you can, clean it easier or something. And underneath there, look at that. Surprise. Even more layers. Oh, there's even a full replacement tire. And then folding very easily here, left and right. And that's how it's supposed to be. It directly folds completely flat. That's actually pretty nice, isn't it? And then this thing here, I never really understood it, I have to say, because I mean it's definitely interesting. So you have to fold it out like this. So and then here on the side you can see these are like hangers. You can put them in or put them out, and there you can put this one in like this. Then you have another storage space here on top, like maybe for a jacket or something. Is this how it's supposed to work? I mean, I'm always wondering, like, what would you actually put here on top of that? And would you use that? Or are you maybe an Octavia customer and you have something, like a cap here? Oh, the autograph cap is also soon available. Maybe like that. So tell me in the comments, what would you actually put here? You know what? Since we have packed up now, I more and more see the advantages of that one. So I didn't see it at first, but now, for example, like the luggage is underneath. On top we put like the cap and the jacket and so on. This is actually a clean solution and to have a little bit more order in the trunk. So I understand it better now. Thank you, Leah. I have to say I'm really a fan here of the liftback or the fastback or the hatch or the whatever we call it. I love the form, the exterior form, and still the trunk is so well usable. You just lose the height a little bit here, but that's it. 40 liters less in the base setup. If your photo seat's a little bit less even, and this here is set up with a lot of nets, so this can also be available, that you have net underneath, net at the side and so on. And the same way you can also fold the seats right here and then have the full length again here. Once again an Autogefühl. There we go. Engines, petrol and diesel. You start with the 1.5 liter turbo petrol engine, 1.5 TSI, 115 or 150 horsepower. Same horsepower split for the 2 liter TDI, the turbo diesel we have here right for you. 8.5 seconds is the acceleration figure in the 150 horsepower version we drive today. And then, not directly at the start, there will also be the 2 liter TSI available with all-wheel drive in the 204 horsepower spec, or in the RS, the most powerful one, 265 horsepower, then it will be the quickest version. And by the way here, also gas struts, you don't have that in the Golf, do you? So, driving here the new Skoda Octavia, and we accelerate onto the motorway here already in the corners. Oh, really nice. Feels very good from the steering control. Then driving modes here, normal mode, sport mode. In the sport mode here the RPMs are, let's say, a little bit preloaded because there's a gear lower. And from 90 to 130 kilometers now, let's go. Stop, that's it. And this is, you see, yeah, it's not the sportiest version, of course, but considering the normal versions of this vehicle here, of the engines, this is already the one that is already kind of powerful, the 2 liter TDI, 150 horsepower, and 8.5 seconds is the acceleration figure from 0 to 1 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour. There are less powerful engines available. There you can see that when you often have these situations where you accelerate onto the motorway, this is probably already a good choice if you don't want to, go maybe with an engine that is even more powerful at a later stage. This vehicle here, first of all, is the Sportline. That would usually come with a minus 50mm suspension, sportier, lower. However, this one here is equipped with the optional DCC, the dynamic chassis control, the adaptive suspension. That one kind of makes this balance between normal, comfortable driving and also sporty driving. This is, of course, a good thing that you kind of can get both. At the moment here, since I'm in a sporty mode, it still feels comfortable. 18-inch wheels we have mounted here today. There are 19-inch available, theoretically, but you can also stick with these 18-inch. Probably a better comfort choice than the 19 ones, and they already look really good. And here, of course, the road so far is very good. Then this combination also works very well. Let's see if we can somehow feel a difference when we go back to the normal mode here, for example, and do the lane change. Oh yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's definitely notably softer, but both work. That's the thing about the DCC, the adaptive chassis control, or the dynamic chassis control, that no matter if you are in a sport mode or in a normal mode, it always rules in a certain spectrum, and you just move the spectrum to plus or minus, basically. And so both when you're in normal and in the sport mode, it will work out in the comfortable and in the sportier way. You just have a different threshold, so to speak. And to me, that's actually a very good choice. If you order an Octavia and want both more sportiness and comfort, it's always one of the most important or best options to pick here with the DCC, definitely. So maybe at some point, if you watch this video in a very early stage, maybe you cannot order it yet. That depends on the availability. But as soon as you can, or if you want to order one, definitely would recommend to get that one, because this makes the ride especially way more comfortable when the road is a little bit uneven. Here now in this construction site on the motorway, we also feel that. In that case here, it's always better to stay in the normal mode. And the seats also play a major role. The seats, it's also kind of the same thing. They look sporty, they are sporty, they hold you tight, but at the same time, they take weight off your shoulders from the lower and kind of like ease the lower back area. So we're both very happy here with these sport seats, especially for tall people. It's really cool, and this already feels kind of upmarket. As for the noise insulation, here at 80 kilometers an hour, that was totally fine. When we're driving 130 or something,
it's loud, but I anything.
Yeah, it was not that silent. I really have to agree with Leah about that. Then when you think about, hey, I mean, this looks really elaborate. Is there still like a gap to the Skoda Superb or to the VW Passat? As for the noise insulation, I would really say. So they bring especially more calmness to the interior. Of course, a little bit longer as for the wheelbase, but besides that, the thing is that has always been cool with the Octavia. Even if you go for an entry-level Octavia, you already have a lot of space for not too much money, and you already feel like you're driving a full-size vehicle. This one does not really feel like, hey, I'm just driving a small or I'm just driving a compact car. This really feels already like a full-size vehicle without that you have to go to a premium segment and pay double the price or something. That has always been a special thing about the Octavia, and that is still the case here. It also feels a little bit more settled than the Volkswagen Golf, for example, because it's just a little bit larger and so on. That's the thing I really love about it, and you know how everything is starting now in this new generation. Indeed, feels a little bit more upmarket. What I also like is good user interface solutions. Like here, I press one time with my thumb here on the assistance system that toggles here, and then I can activate or deactivate that speed warning that is mandatory in the EU now. That you have this beeping chime just when you exceed the speed by 1 km/h. And this is easily deactivated, and also if you want to here deactivate the lane keeping assist. So they thought about, hey, these things are mandatory by law, so we have to put them in there, but at the same time, we hear from customers they often want to deactivate it. Let's find a quick solution where the customer can deactivate it on demand, and I think that's a good thing where you can also listen to the customer. Good size also of the steering wheel. I would wish for an animal-free material. Yes, that's the one thing, but the size itself is good, and also the steering input actually is nice. You can see here the commands are directory transport. There's no dead zone area of the steering wheel, so I have a very fine feeling for that steering wheel, and yeah, that accounts also for this, I would say, sporty, comfortable character of the vehicle. Indeed, it can actually do both. Traffic jam on the motorway is, of course, something you always face, and let's set the cruise control here. Separate column on the left lower part underneath the steering wheel, and then you can see here adaptive cruise control coming to a halt, and this is a way maybe then to relax a little bit. Here you can see the car came to a stop. It automatically starts again. I can also set the different distance here in front, so there's a separate lever here where I can reduce or increase the distance to the car in front of me. Let's see how smooth that it works now. See here, easily picking up the speed. I'm not doing anything at the moment here. Yeah, that was maybe, this braking was maybe a little bit, we can reduce the distance, and that's maybe a little bit better. But overall that actually feels quite smooth. See here the lane assist is also active, and also here I can pick between, this was only the ACC, I can go to a speed limiter only, and I can also go to travel assist. And the travel assist is the most elaborated assistance system. They have upgraded the base, the standard assistance systems, and travel assistant here is like the full package. And here with the travel assist, then it also keeps you actively in the lane actually. And some city driving as well. Let's see how agile is here. And is it maybe already too big? Well, actually not, because I said it feels like it is already a grown-up vehicle, but at the same time it feels small and agile enough also for more narrow roads and for the city and so on. And the good feeling for the steering definitely helps here too. Here I would leave it in the normal DCC mode to get the most comfort out of the vehicle, and that actually also works with potholes and so on. I think also the 18-inch wheels are a good choice, that you already have good design, at the same time don't lose too much comfort. 19, yeah, as I said, could be a little bit more critical here. Now also running over these train rails there, and yeah, this is actually also fine for that. Here, by the way, you also see it in the driving mode difference. This is the normal mode. It's a very good feeling for the steering indeed. And here when we go to the sport mode, then not sure if you can see the difference on the camera, maybe with the legs. What do you say? Yeah, do you feel it?
Yeah.
And she's more like, oh, now it's sorry for that. Yeah, but see, this vehicle really does everything very well. It's a very good car for everything. No matter if you need something for the family, for the dogs, enough space on the inside. It's good on the motorway. It's good in the city. Big enough, not too big. The only thing I really have to say, like when we were driving like 130 kilometers an hour or something on the motorway, then there is still a gap to like a higher positioned vehicle, a segment above that and so on. Because the only thing I found here, it's not the best noise insulation at higher speeds. And also sometimes when it's really all the way straight with the travel assist, then it needs some steering movement that the car really still knows, hey, you're still there. Then it doesn't annoy you or something. These are the only two things I could find in driving. And now we hop to the 1.5 TSI Sport mode. Let's see, do some acceleration from 20. Let's go. Plop. That was 20 to 90 kilometers an hour. And the funny thing is that this 150 horsepower petrol and the 150 horsepower diesel, they actually both have the same acceleration figure, 8.5 seconds to 1 kilometers an hour. Depends on, I've seen that the Combi is sometimes 0.1 seconds slower. Here I'm driving the sedan, by the way. Is it any different to the Combi from the driving? Not really. Maybe you hear somewhat of a different acoustic, like just subjectively, but I mean, they don't differ so much. More or less the same chassis is the same and so on. Yeah, and the petrol engine versus the diesel, they do feel different. So sound-wise, although they are, both like the same speed in the acceleration, this one here feels a little bit more, stressed a little bit, I would say. Or what would you say? Like in this case, the diesel felt...
Accident detected ahead.
Oh, accident ahead. Let's see if that's true. Interesting. The GPS. So it says I can... Where is it supposed to be? I mean, sometimes the news here, they are accurate, sometimes not. Let's see if it's true. So actually the petrol engine, it felt like it would be working more. But the thing is that the petrol, of course, by the technology itself, is going with higher RPM, whereas the diesel is working at lower RPM. That's why the diesel doesn't feel as stressed. It's more about... interesting. Oh, the fun taxi thinks it's fun to overtake here, which doesn't make much sense here. Yeah, so the thing is with the two technologies, the diesel makes sense if you go like high-speed motorway a lot of times. And the petrol makes more sense if you are frequently doing it in the city, for example. If you're frequently doing it in the city, yeah. If you're frequently driving in the city, and also the diesel is not that good when the car often stands like for a longer period of time or something. Here also the petrol engine, the 1.5, is having the mild hybrid technology, which especially comes into place when you go to the eco driving mode. So this sailing or coasting effect happens very often. For example, when I leave my foot off the throttle, there, I'm not sure you're going to see it on camera, the RPM dropped to 0. So at the moment, I'm not using any fuel, and the car is just rolling. And this is also possible without a mild hybrid technology in general, but the MHEV system helps that it happens more often. And here, what can also happen that when you're running to a traffic light or something, and you're on the brake, for example, you're not applying any throttle anymore, then it can also just drop to 0, and that's it. And you can save a lot of fuel. So in the city then, the MHEV will be better. On higher speed motorway, on the Autobahn, the diesel will be better. So it's both pro and con. It's more the question of when are you using the car and for what? So what is the driving profile? Everything else, more or less the same, both as for the Fastback, liftback, and for the Combi, the estate. And weight distribution and so on doesn't also matter much. As for the engines, they're both 2-liter 4-cylinder, so it's all more or less the same. It's really more about like this acceleration characteristic. And yeah, you have heard it, that the end result as for the acceleration from the numbers is totally the same. At the end of our loop, we'll also give you an insight about the fuel economy here for the turbo petrol engine, and see how that relates then to the diesel. The diesel will be a little bit better, but due to this mild hybrid technology, the difference won't be that large anymore as it maybe used to be in past times. taking like a German reference price, begins at about 30,000 euros, and with all the bells and whistles, Sportline, sportier engine and so on, 45,000 euros. So this is the span. Just when you put everything they offer in there, you can even reach some 50,000 euros. And then of course, you could already step to a Superb. Of course, then in the high trim, not cheap at all or something. But the thing is that even with, like say, mid-trim Octavia, you already get a quite large vehicle with a lot of space on the inside without paying too much. So the price-performance ratio, I think, is still very good. And also the quality you get. So indeed, as for the interior quality experience, it is somewhat like a small Superb or a small Passat. And definitely you get more vehicle than you would, for example, get with the Volkswagen Golf, actually, I have to say. Also, the user interface overall is actually pretty decent, and also the new software finally now more reliable and quicker and so on. What else is missing? A more consistent approach to animal-free seats. So that's where Skoda is lacking a little bit behind, but you see at least you get some very nice seats here. For example, also in the Sportline, very comfortable and also kind of elaborate from the whole thing, and also more fuel saving now. With this diesel here, we drove more like 100 kilometers an hour on the motorway, sometimes 130, sometimes 80, 90. So very stable speed, that's like the minimum thing. And then we could score some 4 liters on 100 kilometers. That's like 60 mpg US, 70 mpg UK. A more realistic one, when you also have some sitting consumption inside and so on, would more like 5 liters on 100 kilometers. That's then like 50 mpg US, 60 mpg UK, but overall quite good. And consumption with the 1.5 TSI MHEV, around 5 liters, also really great. Of course, it can be a little bit higher when you drive faster, but that's still some 50 mpg US, 60 mpg UK. So there's about a liter, 1.5 liters difference, depending on the driving, or like 5 to 10 mpg difference from the petrol to the diesel. Both actually quite suitable. It really depends on the driving profile. If you now want to compare, if there's still a gap to the Passat or the Superb, we have them right here.